Hello and welcome to DY's surprise special draw set ticket recommendations for August of 2024. It's that time of year again where we get our August surprise special ticket. There's good options as always, and I'll be going over mainly this time the top picks in my opinion for Earth Guild War, which is coming up in September. As always, I'll mention some other element characters as well, but those Earth characters will be the focus for this particular video. All right, and just before we get started with all the recommendations, I just wanted to mention that I have made an account on this website called Mond, and basically, I'll link it in the description below. But basically, this is a place where you can ask me questions anonymously. I think this will be really useful if you have questions that you just want to have like quick answers from me. Obviously, since it is anonymous, there are some limitations, like unless you make an account, you can't reply to my reply. But for the most part, if you have any questions that you want to ask me, GBF related, then you can do it over here. I'll link it in the description below. You can already see that there's been a fair amount of questions asked here, and it can be pretty much anything that you're curious about. So have a look at it if you feel like leaving a question. All right, and then let's get into the Suptix recommendations. As always, I'll be using this little tier maker thing, but it's mostly just for the separation of characters into different categories. It's not meant to be a tier list of sorts. Okay, so first up, in Earth, the top pick for Guild War. If you don't have this character, I really highly recommend getting Olivia. Olivia is an insane character for Earth, and in fact she's so good that if you saw this particular skill set on a seasonal character, it shouldn't surprise you. That's how good this character is. Essentially, she's really good for full auto, she's really good for burst, and she's also good for HL. Basically, she's good for pretty much every aspect of the game, and she really doesn't require any other characters or summons or things like that to get going. She's just straight up a plug-and-play character. In Guild War, this particular Twilight Terror debuff is extremely strong because Guild War bosses are susceptible to this debuff. She has this really strong buff for herself and the ally in the next position, and she has also like just a bunch of damage that she provides to herself and a party mate as well. Overall, really, really good character. She's part of the best HL teams, and you will expect to see her in both full auto and those setups in Guild War. Right now, she also has a really good synergy with Raziel Summer because she provides 2 yellow skills, and Raziel with 10 yellow skills gets guaranteed triple attacks, and also it upgrades her S2, so that's very powerful there. Overall, really good synergy with many of Earth's meta characters, has a really good kit of her own, and just provides pretty much everything you want in all content in the game. If you don't have this character, I really, really recommend ticketing her. Even if Earth Guild War wasn't next, I would say Olivia's the top permanent character in Granblue at the moment. All right, so next up, let's talk about some burst characters. So in burst, we have a couple units, and in no particular order, the ones I want to talk about are Sabrina, Amelia, and Skull and Balurga. So let's talk about these guys. Sabrina, her main use will be for OTK and NM90. You will also see her in some NM95, basically really short burst rotations. And the main reason is because she has this particular passive, which is that if her HP is full before attacking, she gets guaranteed, not guaranteed triple, but 100% triple up, which is basically guaranteed, and then the 20% echo. The other thing is, if her HP is full, her second skill here auto activates after normal attacks. So it's a skill nuke, which does a really good defense down. So for 0-button strategies, it's really good because it improves everybody else's damage. And then she also has really solid damage of her own. Very, very good character for short burst rotations, but ultimately outside of that, she won't have too much use. So if you are wanting a full auto character for like longer nightmares or longer FAs, this is not the character, but for those short burst rotations, she's really good. All right, next character, Amelia. So Amelia has a couple uses. I put her in this burst category because that's where she was used last year in Guild War. So she was used in EX Plus because her skill here, Activate Fervid Swing, it happens upon enemy special attack, which is her S1. And this is a decent hitting skill damage nuke. So in EX Plus setups, the boss will do their special attack and she'll activate this, and this was used for EX Plus clearing. It was also used in NM90 as far as I know, and she was also used in the High Nightmare manuals because this particular skill here basically granted another ally double strike, and it also granted them a bunch of buffs through these other skills as well. So Amelia had some usage outside of just the short burst rotations and into the High Nightmares as well. I'm not sure if we'll see that again this year. I think Amelia last year was also a bit of a surprise that she randomly showed up, but she was really good in that role. So can be a consideration if you are missing her. The other niche that Amelia has outside of Guild War is in Leviathan M3. She is really good for full auto there. And it's because in Leviathan M3, you really want two sources of clarity, of clear. And currently, Lucifer is one really good way. And the other way, Amelia, this particular skill, which activates on enemy special attack, also has a clear remove one debuff right here. So she's also quite useful in your daily M3 FA. All right, and then finally, we have Skull and Balurga. So Skull and Balurga, they want to click some buttons for rotations like NM95. Although NM95 is losing its relevance, so Skull and Balurga is also losing its relevance, but I can see them in some other burst rotations, so it can be considered. Like for NM100, I do think there will be better alternatives just because there's so much more HP, but it's something to consider either way. But their main thing is that they get guaranteed triple attacks while they're below 25%, which requires this particular skill to be clicked. And if they're below 25%, they also get damage amplified and this particular thing, which is a one-turn assassin. So right now, you can see Skull and Balurga in some Falsehood Opus setups, where you put RF MC with Dark Opus main hand with Falsehood Chain, you Ogi with Dark Opus, and you give double strike to the entire team. So you would have to click this and this. So they're pretty much a character, sort of like Grand Naru, where you want to click at least two skills. The other thing they're really good at is that they will activate Northern Rush when foe does a special attack, which is this skill nuke over here. This can be useful in OTK, but for the most part, I think there are better characters for OTK, but something you can consider. In Guild War, I'm not sure if they'll be used too heavily, just because I think their niche really was 95, but I wouldn't be surprised if I see some 100 setups, but ultimately, I think Skull and Balurga is a little bit of a lower priority, but for general earth bursting, not a bad character at all. Alright, let's talk about some full auto characters next. First one I want to mention is Arulu. So, Arulumaya is a really, really good character for defensive purposes in Guild War and outside of Guild War as well. The main things that they provide is just a ton of defensive buffs. Their skills are decent. I would say the main things here is this particular skill here, which provides Echo, multi-attack, crit, and damage cap. Basically really, really good stuff. And then the other really strong part about their kit is mainly these two things. When the foe uses a special attack, 2-turn cut to all your debuff durations, so it's not a clear effect, but it lowers all debuffs. And then this particular thing, which is that if the foe's charge diamonds are filled, your team now takes 70% water damage, which obviously is really strong. In Guild War, the special attacks tend to hit very hard, and something like Arulu can really help your FA if you need some defensive utility. The other place Arulu is really often used at the moment is in HL manual setups for Earth. So in raids like Far, Zero, and Hexa, you will see Earth tend to use characters like Arulu in those situations as well. Alright, next up, I would like to talk about Satyr. So, Satyr is a defensive support, once again. Sort of similar to Arulu in a sense, but she provides a couple different things. The main thing is that she provides decent charge attack support. So for any sort of Kengo team, Satyr is a great support. She provides that tank role. She also has a very similar thing in that she cuts the debuff durations of your team, because this particular skill is activated when the foe uses a special attack. So essentially the same thing, but it also heals on top. And then she also will automatically cast this skill at the end of the turn. So it removes a buff and the stackable down. Obviously very good in Guild War, since Guild War tends to have lots and lots of buffs. Now the problem for Guild War FAs most of the time for Satyr is that charge attack lineups are really slow. So if you're doing charge attack, chances are you will want to be refreshing. But ultimately, Satyr, very good character. Outside of Guild War, you'll most likely use her in any sort of charge attack team. So if you're doing like Tefnor with charge attack, or if you're doing like Diaspora hosting, things like that, Satyr is really good for that. All right, next we have the final FA character, which is Yiggy. So Yiggy is once again another defensive sort of full auto character. She provides a decent buff here on her S1. And then the other thing here is that she gains this particular skill, Vessel of the World Tree, which is a substitute effect for 3 turns. So Yiggy is really your tank character. It doesn't work for AoE attacks, but for anything single targeted, Yiggy will be able to eat that up and then just be able to sort of keep your team alive in that sense. So all 3 characters here are really good defensive supports, but whether Yiggy stands out in Guild War really depends on the special attacks the boss will do. If the boss has a lot of random target special attacks, it means that Yiggy can really eat that up with this S3. And that's significant in Guild War, because in Guild War, any special attacks that debuff your team only debuff your team if the characters take damage. So in this case, Yiggy would get debuffed, but the rest of your team would be okay. So if there's a lot of special attacks like that in Guild War, Yiggy could be really good. But if not, characters like Arulu or Satyr might be better. It really depends. Outside of Guild War, Yiggy is really useful for Leviathan M3 full auto as well. Just because in the last 40% of the raid, Leviathan does exactly those special attacks that I'm talking about. So overall, she's a good defensive support, much like the other 2 characters here, and can be a decent Suptix choice for full auto teams. All right. And then finally, in this question mark category, I just have one character here, which is Fiorito. Now you might be asking, hey, why am I recommending Fiorito? Fiorito in the past, she's only really been used for like some meme grids and teams, mostly because one of her passives, Hard Requires, this gains effects based on how many melee weapons are equipped in your grid. But the reason why I'm mentioning Fiorito is if you check the rebalances, where are we? Character rebalances. Fiorito's getting rebalanced. So if you're a big Fiorito fan and you want to gamble on this rebalance, then maybe Fiorito can be a choice for you. All right, so that is all my recommendations for Earth. Now, the thing about these other element characters is that they're pretty much exactly the same as last surprise tickets videos, and my thoughts haven't really changed on them at all. So I'll place them in this tier list now, but if you want to check out my opinion on those guys, check out the last video. And as always, Primals and Dragon Summons, I won't put them here, like Agni and Wilnus and those guys. They're always good options if you're looking to transition into a Primal setup. All right, as a final thing, just some housekeeping. This ticket can be purchased up to August 15th, and as always, you can wait until 24 hours after August 15th, so till August 16th, 6:59 p.m. to use this. Now, this is really unfortunate timing because Flash Gala starts on August 16th, 6:59 p.m., 7 p.m. essentially, right? So it is really, really awful timing when this surprise ticket ends. Now, I hesitate to mention this because I've never tested this myself, but I have had trusted people tell me that technically the surprise ticket, if you've bought it, apparently it doesn't expire 24 hours after. And apparently it stays until you use it. Now, I've never tried this because I'm too afraid that I will waste $30. But if you're super paranoid about drawing the thing that you ticketed in Flash Gala, it is something that you can maybe consider. Again, I'm not sure if I'll do this, but this ticket really is awful timing because I'm pretty much guaranteed sparking on Flash. And I really don't want to pull what I ticketed, right? So this is probably one of the first times I'm considering trying this. But yeah, again, huge disclaimer here. I've never tried this. If it doesn't work, you guys can't blame me, okay? All right, please don't cancel me if it doesn't work. But if you do try it, or if you've tried it in the past and you know it works, please leave it down in the comments below. All right, and I think that's it from me for this particular video. Hope you guys are enjoying Granblue Summer at the moment. We are getting really, really close to getting this really cool dragon summon, so I'm excited for that. And I hope you guys have the best of luck in the upcoming Flash Gala. I'll make a banner video on that as soon as that banner releases. So I'll see you guys soon. All right, have a good one. Catch you guys later. Bye-bye.